And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is shameful even to speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light, for whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore he says, Awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light.
Hey everyone, God bless you. All right, well, here it is. Congress confirms Biden win after mob storms Capitol. Trump finally pledges orderly transition of power. If you are in tune to anything that's happening right now in the mainstream media news, we see that there have been a huge group of protesters that have stormed the Capitol building, breaking windows, guns firing, just going completely out of their minds, storming the Capitol, all at the same time as a Trump rally is happening outside of the Capitol. So there's President Trump speaking, kind of telling people, to make sure like Pence should do the right thing, stop steal, right? We see these images and they're going in, and I'm sure you're seeing all this, right? The American flags, everything. Okay. Um, and so, Pence kind of goes against it and says he doesn't agree with what's happening, and then this gentleman, right, talks about how the election should also stand. So people within Trump's corner. And so they just show what's happening. Now, they said that the police there were not even really trying to arrest them. Now, of course, all of these are intentional decisions in order to push forward the Hegelian dialectic, right? We've talked about this stuff on this channel before. Hegelian dialectic, you have the agenda, the thesis, the antithesis, in order to, in the end, bring synthesis, right? Because we know that the in reality, sorry, let me pull up so many of the tabs open. In reality, we know that the end game in all of this is to bring everyone together, right? So we know that this is what's going to happen. It's that government to come together, the economic system to come together, the religion to come together, right? We see that the coexist religion as part of that. And now this next phase or this next stage, especially when thinking about America, has to do with the government itself. Okay, so we know that these things are coming. Now, I want to say, so if we um, go back here. One other way that they're doing this, they're showing this Hegelian dialectic. Of course, this gentleman is, in the building, just roaming around. Nobody's arresting them. And he has this Confederate flag. Well, we know that this is also to rub and to kind of like, stick salt in the wound of those during the race riots, right? The things that have been happening earlier this year, the George Floyd protests. So now what we're seeing is a comparison between when you have a, white, right wing Republican going in and storming the Capitol Hill, and as opposed to the George Floyd riots. Some will say protests, will say Black Lives Matter protests, but they were also riots. There were statues being torn down, writing on things. So they're comparing these two things, even when people were getting hurt, and they're comparing these two things in order to rub the races, right? So here's going back to that Hegelian dialectic, okay? So you have this example of white nationalistic power, and then you have this example of Black Lives Matter. Rub those two against each other, right? Again, in order to bring synthesis or to bring people together in the end, right? The end game is that removal of freedoms, the transfer of power from the many, from the people to the few, using those manufactured terrorist threats. I don't think that this was just initially done, oh, out of nowhere, let's all get together and let's just storm. And no, like a lot of this stuff is planned in advance. We know this, in order to bring that antithesis, to rub them together, to bring them together in the end, because we know that the Antichrist, the way that he's going to rise up, is out of a time of great chaos. And we also know Ordo ab Chao, right? The original and complete rituals of the accepted Scottish rite of the the fourth to the 33rd degree Mason. So anybody within this brotherhood or this fraternity, they know this, right? The powers that be, that you bring order, ordo, ab, cow, out of chaos. And you create the chaos in order to then bring order in the end. So what do we have to do? Let's bring chaos on the government, right? In order to break down this government, in order to break down um, America, right? Because once America, their government is broken down, one of the greatest military powers in the world, how easy will it be then to come and bring that synthesis in the end where you're bringing both together in the end? So if we look here, and you go to look at some of the other things that came out, like this, for example, says defense secretaries worried about a Trump power grab, right? So you're inciting all this, and this came out 2 days before. This was on January 4th, and it says talk of Trump imposing martial law helps spur the ex-Pentagon chiefs to speak out. So we know that what the whole concept is to bring this about. Okay, so I'm not going to say it. I mean, I did say it, so hopefully they don't tag it, but I'm going to let you read it there. This is the temporary imposition of direct military control of normal civil functions or suspension of civil law by a government, especially in response to a temporary emergency where civil forces are overwhelmed or in an occupied territory. So you overwhelm the civil forces, overwhelm our, our military, our National Guard, right? You bring this about in order to bring about peace. You think of people being called peacemakers, right? Those who bring about this peace in the end. And so this is what I believe they would be planning to bring about. So I want to just back this with scriptures. So in 1 Thessalonians 5, beginning in verse 1, it says, but concerning the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I should write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so come as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, so that this day should overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, and let us watch and be sober. I just want to point to the fact that it says that nobody knows the day, right? We don't know that, but we will know the season. We will know the time. We will be able to see what is happening in our world. What are the things that are going on that is going to come about as a thief in the night for those who are in darkness, right? But we are not in darkness. We're able to see the signs of the times. And so the same way it says, once they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them. So once they see they're bringing this destruction, they're bringing all this chaos in order to bring order in the end. That way you can bring the synthesis to bring everybody together for this purpose here. Okay. Now, I just want to also, I can't say it, but you can read the headline here. This came out a day before. Now, if you watch the video I did about the Christmas bombing, this also has similar information. So you can read it here, right? This blank, blank falsehood still thriving on Facebook and Instagram. And this came out yesterday on the 5th. No, I'm sorry. This actually came out yesterday on the 6th. So this came out the same day, and they're calling them, right? They're saying this is what they are, and this is what this is about this specific thing. And so now we have to bring people who just happen to, be associated with it through those groups like QAnon, and other groups which paint those who are speaking truth in this kind of light as being associated with this kind of action. So these are some signs that you would actually see. I noticed if you pay attention to the news sources, because when you're watching them, you'll see in the videos that they have images like this. I saw a few of these kind of signs being thrown out there too, right? All of that is subliminal messaging. It's part of the predictive programming, and we have to be wise to it, okay? And here you go. Here's going back to emergency management, right, to bring out FEMA. So now we have two reasons to do so. One is civil unrest, and secondly, it is, I'm sure they're going to start using this word specifically about the event. Okay, so those are the two things. And I just want to follow off by saying that, we don't condone the actions of what we're seeing happening in our world. For those who are truly, following the Lord and listening to his voice, we know that the Bible tells us that the love of many will grow cold, right? So this is Matthew 24 verse 12. It says, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. So the Lord does not condone these types of actions. If you look, I mean, the Bible tells us time and time again, right? Romans 12:18. If at possible, right, live at peace with everyone, live peaceably with all men. That is what we're commanded to do. We're commanded to love one another. We're commanded, even if you think about Jesus when he was going to get arrested, he didn't fight back. He didn't curse them out or throw a sword in their face, right? He who lives by the sword will die by the sword. So I don't believe that that's what God has called us to do. He hasn't called us to rebellion. He hasn't called us to any of those things. And just, remember, like, what look at Jesus as our ultimate example. And remember, this is exactly where this is going, right? So, and I have two videos. I'm going to also link them in that came out before this event took place to just show you, like, this is exactly what it is. And they came out in about December. So I'm going to link those in below. Definitely check them out. So this is Civil War, Captain America, right? This came out and they showed you united we stand, divided we fall. And here's the picture for you.
So you can see the Democrats there in blue and the Republicans there in red. So this is just showing you the division in order to eventually bring in unity in the end, right? Thank you so much for your support to this channel. I hope that this video was a blessing to you. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Please share the video because that's how you beat the AI algorithm, which really tries to prevent my videos from posting and being shared. So the only way that the word will get out is from you sharing it. Go forth in love, peace, boldness, and perseverance to preach the message of the gospel.